Hi, this is part 4 of my flat earth presentation, where I take proofs of the flat earth and break it down as best as possible. In this one, I will show the difference between what science and education tells us to the reality we see. I'll show how there are tests and experiments of the globe, but those tests are always done with the biased outcome. The tests we see do not represent reality at all, and I'll show that here. The tests they show are not done correctly. When you add up all the equations, speeds, forces, etc., they don't make sense. The math and science can describe anything. If they told you the earth is spinning now at 100 miles per hour, would you believe that? You need to be able to measure this somehow, and they don't say how. They just give numbers and charts saying, yes, that's curvature on paper. When it comes to real life situations, they have to change what's on the paper or write it in a certain way to look like it doesn't matter. But there is no curvature. This is Coriolis, rotation and motion. So I already went over the sun, the horizon, and the missing curvature a little in my last videos. This next topic, I'll be talking about Coriolis, and this will get into the so-called motion and rotation of Earth. Some history that was given to us, how Coriolis started. 1598 to 1651 was Italian scientist Giovanni Battista Riccoli, astronomer, Catholic priest in the Jesuit order, and his assistant Francesco Grimaldi. They wrote that the rotation of Earth should cause a cannonball fire to the north to deflect to the east. He basically still questioned the geocentric versus heliocentric model in his book, New Alchemist. Also questions if the Earth moves or not. In his book, he discusses 126 arguments about the Earth's motion, 49 for and 77 against. However, today, 3 arguments stand out the most, which is huge in my opinion. It's very clear many civilizations presented the geocentric model, like the ancient Egyptians and many more. First argument, Riccoli writes, is psychomathematical, which is related to Galileo's hypothesis. The second, which is Coriolis effect, also related to Galileo. The third argument is the appearance of stars as seen through telescope of time. Just to put things into perspective, I'm going to try to break this down as best as possible. Like I explained, there's so much history already, I would have to make more videos or one full-length video. Again, to be clear, all ancient civilizations before 300 BC or so believed in a flat earth model. Even today, we are still on different sides technically. They try to wash it starting in 300 BC all the way up until the 1500s, where it started again, the debate. And it's been debated and argued ever since. But now there's a monstrous amount of evidence, from the real photos we have to the testing. (1643 to 1727) was Isaac Newton. He was also influenced by Galileo. The Coriolis acceleration equation was delivered by Euler in 1749. Keep in mind that it wasn't until 1792 when Gustave Coriolis was born in Paris, and he writes textbooks and was a scientist, mathematician, mechanical engineer, and he dealt with forces in motion and kinetic energy. Coriolis wrote a paper and added axis, rotation, and centrifugal force, which helped it become a force by 1920. In the psychomathematical argument, he went back and forth with Galileo on how objects fall at the same rate no matter the Earth's spin. Also with the Coriolis at both poles, the Earth is supposed to be spinning faster. So the winner was Galileo, but he still thought the Earth was rotating and was a sphere. So this was really an old argument and plays no role today with the technology we have. What he explained was true, that nothing like the spin of Earth acts on a free-falling object, but yet they still say that there's a spin of our Earth. Below is a diagram, shows the rotation and train moving west all the way on the left side. In the middle is a train at rest while the Earth is spinning. And all the way on the right is a train heading east and the Earth is spinning. The train headed west is moving faster because of the supposed rotation of Earth, but we never witnessed different times heading in different directions. They also use the moving car analysis. If two cars are driving at the same speed, it looks like they are still, but they are not. The car is moving and it's only possible within a containment. If the car had no roof, the wind would play a significant role. And we are told Earth has no barrier. These are some theories like gravity, Newton's laws, motion, rotation, Coriolis, mass, and more. It's taught that this is just a fact and we already know it, so no need to look. But I beg to differ. When you go back and look at the data I'm showing you here, you can easily see the flaws. The Coriolis effect. They say the rotation of Earth causes this effect, spinning at a supposed 1,000 miles plus per hour. There is a Coriolis force, which is a fictitious force, pseudo force they call it. This gets into other topics such as acceleration, inertia, kinetics, velocity, torque, force, speed, mass, energy, time, mechanical power, work, angular momentum, etc. are all real forces. The claim is that this fictitious force is when an object's inertia initially begins to accelerate from a stop point, 0 miles per hour, the reference, or a person in the car. Coriolis acts with the centrifugal forces, which is a fictitious fake pseudo force, and is also a Newton's law of gravity, which is all a theory. And it acts with the object in direction and its distance to the body of the rotating frame. It was first talked about in 1651, before that as early as 3rd century BC. They only talked about geocentrism and heliocentrism. Then it wasn't until the 1780s, 1800s, and even 1920 when Coriolis became an official force. A fictitious force, also called pseudo-force, is a force that appears to act on a mass whose motion is described as using a non-inertial frame of reference. Some examples of this are a carousel and passengers in a vehicle moving in a forward direction. So yes, this part is true because you can go on a carousel or travel in a car and look to the side and it looks like there's things moving around you, but it's not. And this gets into parallax and rotation of the Earth, which I'll get into later. Coriolis is only visible in a large-scale motion like projectile motion of long-range guns or the circulation of Earth's atmosphere, which moves around us. They don't even account for air resistance, which plays a major role and is most likely why this rotation happens. Also in gravity, they added fictitious forces, Coriolis, saying free fall is same as inertia. Free fall is when an object is acted upon only through gravity. Example, a ball that rolls off a cliff or a hill. But that will require a person to put it there or to move it initially. Besides, with that said, Albert Einstein made the theory of gravity as a fictitious force with apparent acceleration of gravity to the curvature of space-time. I'll save that for another video. When considering atmospheric or oceanic dynamics, the vertical velocity is small. How can the Earth use Coriolis and other forces like gravity, but not the oceans? This is a drawing from 1624 by a French Jesuit mathematician. These drawings are not to scale, but let's take a look. First off, they always show that a curve is so close to where the object is, like the building seen here. We never see this, and it shouldn't even play a factor in this demonstration. If you think about this logically, if you drop a ball and we are spinning east to west, that's only one direction. So this building is facing east to west with the door facing west, so the object isn't being blocked instead of facing north to south. If you drop the ball, which by the way, this experiment should be facing straight horizontal, like shooting a gun straight down, not vertical up and down. Anyway, you drop the ball and it should move slightly west and back. Either way, if you drop something straight down, according to Coriolis, it's a fictitious force that acts on an object. Example, the Earth or an object falling here that are in motion within a frame of reference that rotates with respect to the inertial frame. The frame of reference and inertial frame are both one. Example of Coriolis, centrifugal force, aka fictitious pseudo-fake forces. Also notice how they mostly show examples on a flat disk. There's other factors that play into this, like high pressure, low pressure, currents, winds, water. So with that and the spin of the earth, they also gravity and Newton's laws, it's kind of tangled up and it doesn't really make any sense. Axis of rotation and centrifugal. They tell us this is a fixed axis and it's a hypothesis that excludes the possibility of an axis changing its orientation. It cannot describe phenomena like wobbling or precession. It is a special case of rotation and motion. They are saying the Earth axis oscillates every 40,000 years. Also, they are saying the Earth was spinning slower in the past, meaning it's spinning faster today. How would they even know that? So is this time actually speeding up? Atomic clocks in 1950 is what they used to measure this. Again, how would they know the speed of rotation in ancient times? They would have to program it, meaning they just enter the data, asking the computer for help when it's just a machine. Around every 25 to 30 years, Earth's rotation slows temporarily by a few milliseconds, lasting 5 years. The cause of this is not yet determined. Also, everything that I mentioned about rotation, motion, Coriolis, mass, time, velocity, speed, all has to do with classical mechanics. You know what? I'll just pull up a quick screen share of that. Okay, here's just a brief rundown of classical mechanics, how it started. Like I said, around 4th century BC, Aristotle. Then also in 4th BC, Babylonian astronomers. 260 BC, Archimedes works out the principle of a lever and connects buoyancy to weight. Sounds pretty familiar from what we talk about today in the truth community. And it just goes on from there. 1021, you have Al-Biruni. I believe I have a description and a presentation about that. And you fast forward to all the way, Galileo was in 1581, notices the timekeeping property of the pendulum, which I will talk about in another video. I'll talk about the pendulum because that's another important topic. Like I said in the beginning here, 1651 was Giovanni Battista Riccola and Francesco Grimaldi discovered the Coriolis effect. So this is before Coriolis was even born, mind you. And continue on, Isaac Newton in 1681. You know, he came up with the laws of motion, gravity, which is technically false. And you just fast forward, you have Euler delivers the equation for Coriolis, like I explained, 1749. And basically all this time, I guess they were debating and coming up with these equations that no one seemed to get right, I guess. It wasn't until 1851 where Leon Foucault shows a rotation with a huge pendulum. So it wasn't even until 1851. Mind you, they had the Jesuits in the 1600s, so it wasn't hard to lie about this early on. And I'll stop that. So they say gravity, proof of gravity, a stone spinning on a string. Now, I don't know if they say this rock is spinning while going around in a circle with the string, like how they say the earth rotates. But the rock is only held up by the string. If the string breaks, the rock goes flying. So how is the earth held up? Is it held up with a string? I highly doubt it. First they say centrifugal is the movement away from the center. Then they say it's just a fictitious force and it's not really moving, just looks like it's moving. Okay, just a quick recap. Curvature from high up above, they would tell you can only see curvature from a plane, which is 35,000 feet up. And they say it's even more visible from 50,000 feet up, which is false. In my horizon video, I explained how no matter how high you go up, whatever mountain you choose, it's all flat. There are videos and photos taken from 120 miles, 160 miles, 223 miles, and 1,200 miles, which is a record. And this concludes my presentation. Please help keep truth alive, research flat earth. If you would like to support, all my links are in the description below. Thank you.